Hey guys, and welcome back. Here we've got a nice ice blue Japanese N64, and we're going to do some mods to this thing. We're going to go ahead and install a region-free card slot to it, as well as install the Ultra HDMI mod. Now, this is a awesome modification, so we're going to spend a little bit of time at the end taking a look at some of the visual improvements that you'll get out of this. But for now, let's just go ahead and rip this console apart as we always do. Okay, first step we're getting into right now. We need to solder the FFC cable over here to the one of the main chips on the board, and I can tell you right now, this is some serious fine pitch soldering. Definitely not a mod that you want to make your first mod you're going to do. This is something where you're going to want to have some experience and know what you're getting yourself into. I've zoomed way in for you guys here. It's a digital zoom, but I've zoomed way in to kind of illustrate, and you'll see as I kind of work my way through this. I use a little bit too much solder, and I'm going to have to go through and kind of clean it up as I go. If I were to do this again, I would definitely use a lot less solder and probably a little bit more flux, even though I'm continuously using no clean flux throughout the process. I would even use more, and like I said, I would use a little bit less solder on the tip of my iron. The good news is, once you knock this step out, the rest of the process is not too bad at all, as you will see. So the last step is to solder this last lead of the FFC cable to the PIF connector. And it's a really small via, so I'm making my life a little bit easier by actually soldering a component leg to the PIF connector and then solder the FFC cable to that. It's an extra step, but it honestly makes things significantly easier, and kind of just wanted to point out exactly what I'm doing here, as it might not be completely obvious. Also, I'm going to link the installation guide in the description below. Okay, with the Ultra HDMI installed, it's time to install the region-free card slot. I've done a previous tutorial on this, so I'll go ahead and link it in the card above if you want to go ahead and check it out. This is the really nice kind where you don't make cuts, and instead you just go ahead and install a 3D printed region-free card slot. Okay, work is done. Time to put the screws back in and do some testing. We're going to go ahead and take an extended look and take a look at everything via HDMI as well as composite so we can get a good look and see how things are actually working out. So the first game we're going to start taking a look at is Mario Kart 64. And it's probably not the best game to look at because a lot of this isn't actually 3D. It's basically 2D sprites getting rotated, but it'll still work pretty well nonetheless. First you can see I've brought up the in-game menu, and what I'm going to go ahead and do now is run the self-test to make sure that everything's been soldered in correctly and working as it should. So I'll go ahead and run the self-test. And I'm just going to kind of go through the actual menu itself so you can get an idea of all of the different features that it has. There is a ton of things in here, including things such as a zero lag mode and just all kinds of different settings that you can mess with to make it to your exacting specification. Alright, so I've kind of gone through the sequence over here, and we're going to flip between composite and HDMI. Now, I probably don't need to have this labeled in the top right, but I've gone ahead and done so anyway. I think the most startling thing to kind of take a look at as you're looking at this specific game is to look at the text, specifically the time, the lap, the icons, and the overall brightness of the picture and clarity. I mean, it is absolutely remarkable. Alright, so we're also going to look at a Japanese game. This is a Japanese copy of Super Smash Bros. For the 64. So we're going to go ahead and run the opening sequence here. We'll go ahead and start up a fight in the HDMI mode, and then we'll go ahead and cut over to composite, and we can see the difference, kind of live action in the middle of the fight. So should give you an interesting perspective as we go back and forth. So as you can see, overall this thing really turned out nice. Probably one of the things I'm the most proud of is the actual HDMI port on this. Obviously, like I said, you had to use an X-Acto knife and file to cut that out, and I'm really happy with how that specifically turned out on here. I've got some more N64 content on its way, so make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to the channel, because there's going to be a lot more of it here coming here soon.